2 years ago, this bad boy was released, the Panasonic Lumix S5 Mark II, the first of Panasonic's full-frame camera lines with face detector autofocus. There are a lot of reviews about this camera out there, so I'm not gonna bore you with some of those stuffs about specs and frame rates. I'm just gonna talk about my experience using this camera over the past 2 years. After using it for 2 years now, I can confidently say that Panasonic did their thing when they made this camera. That open gate recording, bruh, that's super fun to use. The main reason why I bought this camera was because I wanted a camera that I could use for my social media content and as well as get some high quality stills. And after using this camera just for a short period of time, I found myself starting to use it for client projects because at first I thought it wasn't good enough, but after seeing the quality that came out of this camera, I was like, wait a minute, this thing is actually impressive. I've really shot a lot of projects, like a lot of client projects using this camera because my main camera is the Blackmagic 6K Pro, and anybody who has used that camera knows how massive the files are from that camera. And yeah, the camera requires a lot of rigging and all of that stuff, but sometimes when I get a gig where I'm just supposed to do an event coverage, carrying a Blackmagic camera is just hectic. And that's where this bad boy came in handy. I'd show up to events with this camera and just kill the entire thing using this camera, and it's so much fun. I love the USB-C charging option that this camera has. Like whenever I'm at events, I can just connect a power bank to this camera and recharge it. I don't have to carry a lot of V-mount batteries and extra batteries. Just a power bank is enough for me to be able to film an entire event using one battery. And that's so much fun, given the fact that I've been using Blackmagic cameras to cover this stuff, to cover these events, you know, and the Blackmagic cameras require me to bring in V-mount batteries and rigs and all that stuff. With this, I just carry this, throw in 2 lenses into my camera bag, and I'm good to go. So that's another thing that I really love about this camera. But the best part about this camera, in my opinion, is the fact that I can adapt other lenses to this camera. That's so much handy, given the fact that lenses are pretty expensive. And like I said, I already use Blackmagic cameras which use EF lenses. Getting an LMount camera, that would mean a new set of lenses for me, and that would mean pouring more money out there for equipment. But that's not the case with this camera, you know, because I can literally use EF lenses on this camera using an adapter and get perfect autofocus. Like, that's so helpful. That's a game changer for me because I don't even own any LMount lens, but I've been using this camera for 2 years. I sold the kit lens that came with the camera, then I went ahead and used that money to buy this EF to LMount adapter. I think it's made by Sigma, and this adapter allows you to use EF lenses on this Panasonic camera that takes L-mount lenses, and you won't compromise anything. Like, the autofocus works perfectly, you won't even notice. That is something that I really love about this camera, because with other camera brands that I've used adapters with, I always saw a difference in autofocus performance. Like, the difference here is unnoticeable. You can't even notice it. The color science of this camera is also pretty good, although when compared to my main camera, this Blackmagic 6K Pro, it doesn't shine that much. But just in general, for normal projects that I do, like, it's pretty good, you know. Like, I've never had any problem when it comes to color grading and stuff. But there are other color profiles that I also like using whenever I don't want to get into heavy color grading. And the main one that I use a lot is Cine-like D, and Cine-like D is crazy good. I really love Cine-like D, especially for fashion shoots, that I don't have much time to start color grading or even event coverage. One other color profile that I really enjoyed using was the natural color profile. Like, if you're somebody who doesn't know color grading and you don't want to get into color grading, but you want to get this camera, I'd recommend you use the natural color profile. It's pretty good, looks good. You don't need to do anything. Just after filming, you can upload your video. You don't have to do any color grading or whatever. It looks pretty good. I love it. So yeah, that's another thing that I love about this camera. And sticking to the topic of color, I really love the fact that you can install your LUTs here and then you just see how everything looks in camera before you go into post-production. That is really helpful because it's gonna help you with when you're trying to expose your shot correctly so that you nail the color grade exactly the way you want. So that is something that I really find to be pretty helpful. But also the camera has a feature whereby whenever you're filming in Vlog, the color profile is flat, of course, so sometimes it might be hard to judge the exposure whenever you're looking at the flat profile. So the camera gives you an option to film in Vlog but still be able to see the colors, but the colors won't be burned into your video. You can be able to see everything normally, but the camera is actually filming in Vlog. It's actually built in the camera, so you don't have to install an extra LUT inside the camera for you to be able to access this feature. And it's a feature that you can use these programmable buttons like this one here. You can just assign this button, this function, and then when you're filming in Vlog, you can press the button, and then instead of seeing the flat profile, you'll see some color in your viewfinder, your LCD screen, or your monitor. And then when you get your card into your computer, you'll have your flat profile intact, like nothing touched. But with all those praises, I think there is also some shortcomings with this camera that I have to mention. First one is the HDMI latency. Whenever you connect a monitor using the HDMI, there is actually some latency that occurs. So like whatever you're seeing on the monitor is actually delayed by, like, the delay is so huge, I think it's maybe a second or something, because it's so huge that it can throw you off whenever you're filming. Because there was this one time when I was filming guys dancing, but then I was watching the monitor and I was like, wait a minute, are these guys dancing offbeat? But then when I looked up, the guys were actually on beat. But when I look in the monitor, they looked as if they were offbeat. They were way behind. So that's an issue that I haven't been able to fix. I don't know if there's a fix for it, but yeah, that's an issue with the camera. And the other issue that I really hate, I really hate, is the crop factor when you want to film at 4K 60 frames per second. Like, why is it there? Why does the camera have to crop in, man? I don't get it. Why did they add this crop factor, man? The camera was just working flawlessly, but then they decide to add a crop factor 4K 60. I wish they could just make the camera be able to film 4K 60 without any crop. But I don't know, man, Panasonic, you failed me. We all know Panasonic to be a very innovative company, and they are always pushing the barriers and trying to give us some really cool equipment, some really cool cameras at a lower price point. And this is no exception. This is a really great camera. I'm really having fun with it. Everything that I've shot with this camera has come out really amazing. And so far I haven't had any client complain about the quality of my work going down since I started using this camera for client projects also. So if you're looking to get the camera, I'd encourage you, go get it. It's a really dope camera for professional work. I know there will be somebody in the comment section saying professional cameras you'll be having XLR mic input, which is not a terrible argument, but I'd also go ahead and say pros don't record their audio directly into the camera. They record it into an external recorder. But if you insist on XLR mic input, actually Panasonic have a device. I don't know how it's called. It's more like a hot shoe mount, something. You put it here and then it allows you to connect XLR mics directly into the camera. And yeah, you can actually record the audio directly into the camera without any problem. So if that's something that you're into, recording audio directly into the camera, you can get the device. I don't know how much it costs, but I'm gonna link it below. So yeah, if that's your thing, you can check that out. Otherwise, I hope you guys enjoyed this video and I hope you got value from it. If you did, kindly give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to the channel. Otherwise, thank you for watching and see you in the next one. Blessings.